In this video, I want to show you some great ways to make playing chords much more interesting by incorporating movement and fills into your rhythm parts. So you're about to hear a track, the chords are just E and B, but see how we're going to go well beyond just strumming through those usual shapes. Okay, so it might seem like there's a lot of complex things going on there, but let's break it down and hopefully you'll appreciate I'm really just thinking about playing through the chords. Now the first technique we'll look at is the suspended 4 chord. So here's our E chord in the A-shaped bar chord here at the 7th fret, and what we want to do is just alternate between this and a form of an A chord, so the 4 chord of our E chord being A. So here's the chord as we'd normally play it with this bar here at the 9th fret on the D, G and B strings. So just move so that bar on those 3 strings is now played with the 1st finger. And then what we want to do is come up 2 frets on the D string and up 1 fret on the B string. So we've got this. So this is C sharp, E and A, so a form of an A chord. And then we can alternate between this E triad here and the A chord there and make loads of different rhythms. So just get used to coming from the bass E chord there and then into this position and then alternating with that A chord there. So many things you can do with this. Obviously Keith Richards really owns this technique in a way, but loads of different players use it and you'll hear it all over all sorts of rock music. Then we can do exactly the same thing on the B chord, so coming down here to the 2nd fret, there's our normal B chord shape and then like that, so we're just alternating between a B and an E triad there. Something like that. Now, one thing we can do to make this slightly more interesting, coming back up to E, is play it as 6, so maybe something like that, or like that, where we're only playing the D and B strings, so maybe slide in on the D string there, and then up to the B string, so those notes are quite a way apart, so a 1/6 apart, so it makes it more melodic, and then maybe slide back on the D string and play the B string again, something like that. Or could play both strings at the same time doing that. Just makes it slightly more melodic, a little bit more interesting. So that's how we're doing that technique on the A chord. Now if we want to do it on an E-shaped bar chord, so let's say we're playing the B as an E-shaped bar chord here at the 7th fret now, then what we want to do is come to the E triad, which is going to be, you know, these exact same notes here at the 9th fret, but kind of play them with the last finger there. Maybe something like that. So it's a little bit tricky to do. I sometimes do it where I play the root note with the thumb over and miss out the A string there. Find that a little bit easier maybe sometimes, but as the full bar chord, you're playing your normal B bar chords and then just moving so your last finger covers those 3 strings, D, G and B at the 9th fret, and then, you know, alternate between those 2 positions there. Then let's look at some double stops, so playing 2 notes at once. So back to our E chord here in the A-shaped bar chord, and now here we want to take the notes on the G string and B string together, so these 2 notes, but again play them with the 1st finger And now go up 2 frets on the G string and up 1 fret on the B string. So now we've got this with this. Sounds nice already. And now we can move all of this up 2 frets to here. And now you'll notice these 2 notes really form part of this E-shaped E chord here at the 12th fret. So we've got these 2 notes here at the 9th fret, which come from this E chord, and then these 2 here at the 13th and 12th, which come from this E chord. So really, these in the middle, these kind of come from an F minor chord, but we're using them here as passing tones. So here, here, and up to here. And these are just really nice sounding. And these 2 notes are a third apart, so we're just playing up the scale in thirds here. And then again on the B chord down here, so moving from the normal chord shape to bring our first finger just to play the G and B strings, and then up 2 on the G string, up 1 on the B string, and then all up 2 frets. Just the exact same pattern there. Then what if we want to play double stops from the E-shaped bar chord? Well, then I'd recommend starting with some sliding fourths. So just come to the top 2 strings, take them directly from the chord, so from the B chord there at the 7th fret, and then slide up 2 frets and slide back down again. You know, get sounds like that, exactly the same here on the E chord. Really simple, but really effective. Let's look at how we can shift from the chord to access the full pentatonic scale here. So I've shown this in a couple of previous videos, but the way I like to think of this is, here's our chord, the A-shaped bar chord, and all we need to do is change this. So now instead of this lowest note on the A string being 2 frets below the main bar on the D, G and B strings, we just want to shift it so this lowest note comes 2 frets above on the A string up here. So shift the bar to the first finger and then 2 frets above on the A string, giving us this shape. And this now moves us perfectly into place to play the first position pentatonic at that same position, right? So here, this will be what you think of as the C sharp minor pentatonic perhaps, but really this is exactly the same notes as E major. So going from here to here, now we're perfectly in place to get all those notes right under our fingers. Now one way to make the shift might be to play the chord and then hammer on into this new lowest note here, now at the 11th fret, and then use these chord tones at the 9th fret below it, something like that maybe, to get you into that pentatonic position. But then as we're playing rhythm, we don't necessarily want to go into full lead mode with single notes like that. So one thing I like to do is, again using kind of double stop approach, maybe play G and B strings together at the 9th fret like that, and then we're always going to hammer on and pull off on the lower of the 2 strings here. So this time the G string being the lower string, so hammer on and pull off at the 11th like that, and then maybe down to the 11th on the D string there, and then do the same double stop, hammer on and pull off, and then 11th on the A string, and you get this kind of thing going on. And that's a pretty cool way to bring in some kind of pentatonic licks which are still kind of rhythmic in feel and don't, you know, weaken out the sound with just single notes. Then again, exactly the same on the B. Something like that. And then lastly, let's look at what we'll call melodic chords. So these are going to be based around the E-shaped bar chord instead this time. So we're starting with the notes on the top 2 strings, taken just directly from the chord. So here at the 12th fret, we've got these two notes. And now let's do a hammer on and pull off on the B string 2 frets above, so at the 14th, and then come to the 14th on the G string, so this is the 4th of the chord, like a sus4 type sound, like that, and then 11 and 12 on the G and B strings with a hammer on then up to the 13th on the G string. Now this brings us back into these two chord tones directly from the chord. So it's just a really nice sound. And then maybe we could pull off again and then go down to the root note there of E on the D string if we wanted to. Something like that. And then on the B chord, exactly the same. And now of course you can mix this with some of the other techniques. I think you saw me do that kind of thing where I'm mixing it with the suspended 4 chord idea as well. That's kind of the very beautiful melodic version. There's also a kind of more bluesy way to think of this, so you saw me doing that kind of thing as well. So again, starting with these notes from the E chord on the top 2 strings at the 12th fret, and then down to the 14th on the G and B strings together. So this is part of an A chord, you know, there. So it's kind of touching on that suspended 4 chord idea again, and then 12 and 12 together on the G and B strings with a hammer on up to 13 on the G string gives you this movement from minor to major third, and then resolve down to that E there at the 14th fret on the D string. Same on the B chord, and I think I mixed that as well with the sliding 4th idea. Maybe something like that, you know? So thanks for watching. I hope that was useful for you, and I'll see you in the next video.